phone calls right now. And then later in the hour, I'm going to get into the bill that Obama signed versus what's happening right now in the Senate. And try to break that down. Other nightmare provisions we've now found in the bill. It just gets worse by the day. I'm trying to wade through this 2,700 pages. I see other breakdowns of it. I go double check what the media is saying, if it's accurate or not. This bill was even worse than we originally thought, if that is possible. There's loopholes exempting Washington insiders from Obamacare mandate. I've got a bunch of amazing police state news that we need to go over as well. And I want to talk about these Brinks commercials for a segment or so in the last hour today, because I don't watch a lot of TV, but we have TV-ons in a few different office areas to monitor things here in our studios. And I see these Brinks commercials where a woman's having a party, everybody's leaving the party, and her girlfriends are saying, "Who is this guy?" "Oh, we don't know." And as soon as she locks the door, he comes hatefully and knocks the window in, and then the alarm goes off, and so that makes him run away. And then she calls 911. Well, Matt Ryan here in my office with one of his family members over the weekend, they had somebody calling up some of his relatives threatening to come attack him. This guy had been convicted multiple times of attacking people. They called the police 5 times over several hours. He was coming to saying, "I'm coming to get you, I'm coming to hurt you, I'm coming to..." And he came, beat a woman up with a chain, beat her bloody, and then the police showed up. And I made the point, well, why didn't your relatives have a gun? Well, they were scared of guns. And it's because of the media. I see these images on the news of when somebody's breaking in your house, you call 911. The cops, under federal and state rulings, literally thousands of times, it's more than a couple thousand, just in the state of Texas, it has been found that they have no liability to protect you. And conversely, they have no right to keep you from protecting yourself. And most police understand that. But the bureaucrats want you disarmed. And in England, if you stab an intruder or even beat him up, or one guy threw a second door window and he broke his legs, and then the police arrested the homeowner that defended themselves, they want you domesticated, servile, on your back. They want the instinct for you to take action and protect yourself to be extinguished. Every few days I see articles in England, Canada, the U.S., and other Western nations where a young woman will be stabbed on a busy street and bleed to death over 4 hours. Or a woman will be beaten with a lead pipe in Toronto on a busy street, and office workers laughed at her naked body for hours and didn't even call the cops. Or in a case a few years ago, an Austin cop at the corner of I-35 and William Cannon was hit by a car and laid bleeding to death in a pile of fire ants for over an hour, and no one called the police. So this domestication, I've told the story about 6, 7 years ago. I was at a La Madeleine restaurant, and I went to the bathroom, and when I came out, there was a big commotion a few tables over from where my wife and son were. My toddler son, wasn't even a toddler, he was tiny. And I said, "What's going on?" This big crowd of about 20 people. And they said, "She's choking, call 911. Everybody had their cell phones out calling 911. And I said, "Well, here, let me do the Heimlich maneuver." And they almost fought me. They're like, "Wait a minute, buddy. Well, wait, don't, wait for the police." And I started yelling at them, "She'll be dead in 4 minutes." And I had to actually shove people out of the way, and they were getting angry. And I had to get on over her, get my hands around her, do the Heimlich, and a big piece of bread came out. She was purple. She was starting to collapse on the table. And I talk a lot about this because this is why we're slaves. This is why we're in so much trouble. For me, if I know the Heimlich maneuver, they gave us a half-day course on swim team, when I was like 12 years old. If I know the Heimlich maneuver on an adult or a baby, if I know CPR, I'm not going to call 911, and the police will try to show up, the fire department and the EMS will try to show up. But I see these cases now in the news every few days where people stand and watch someone bleed to death. They don't put a tourniquet on some guy's leg that's been chopped off in a construction accident. They don't help an old lady who's just been mugged. They don't want to get involved. They're narcissistic, they're selfish, and they don't see themselves in the position as taking action. They see themselves as drones or spectators in society. So I'm going to talk about this with Matt Ryan for about 20 minutes or so, coming up in the next hour after we take calls and cover other important news. But I watch these Brinks commercials, which are conditioning, where over and over again it shows the evil man coming and trying to hurt you. And the women, you know, the ad should be for Smith & Wesson and show the woman shooting him. Smith & Wesson, by the way, would sell millions of guns. And the good news is a lot of women are figuring this out, and they're actually out buying guns. I mean, I have 2 daughters, and, you know, one of them's 5. She's already learned how to shoot. The 2-year-old, you know, she's not old enough yet. But when my daughters go away to college or go away to get married or to work in another city, they're going to go to a city where there's still a Second Amendment, if we still have it. Or they're going to end up illegally owning guns, even if they're banned. My daughters aren't, and my son aren't going to sit in their apartments or their houses waiting to be raped or robbed, waiting to be hogtied and tortured. And it's so fundamental because I'm not domesticated. I'm a wild human. I have my instincts. I have my common sense. And I don't know how women out there and men have been trained to, somebody calls and says, I'm coming over there to attack you. They wouldn't come if they knew you had a gun, number one. And I wouldn't go out and look for trouble, but if somebody, I'd let them, you know, start banging on the door, and I'd get down on my knees at the end of the hall waiting, and as soon as that door busted open, I'm going to unload every round right into them. But it's the same attitude of not getting involved in politics, not getting informed, not knowing your congressman's voting record, not standing up against tyranny, not going to town hall meetings and shouting these scum down. It's this attitude that somebody else, I mean, I get thousands of emails every year, literally thousands, and hundreds of phone calls. You've heard them on air saying, I'm glad you're there doing this for us. I'm glad you're there. I can sleep better at night. What do you mean? You know this information, and some of you aren't taking action because you think I'm going to fix it? What has happened to people that they would sit there, and Gerald Celente told the same story. How he said, is there a doctor in the house first? And no one in the restaurant said there's a doctor in the house, a packed restaurant. Then he found out after the fact there was a doctor, but they didn't want to get involved. But then meanwhile, there are some people who want to get involved, and the government recruits them who mean well to be tattletales, to be spies. Everything is a counterfeit, or everything is twisted around backwards. And people have been made to believe that some specialist, a cop, or an EMT, or somebody else is going to be there for them. The police, on average, take 12 minutes. In fact, that's a few years old. Google average 911, national 911 average police response time. Last time I saw it, it was 12 minutes, 30-something seconds, but it may have changed. The point is that in 12 minutes, anything can happen. And the police may be tied down in other events, and they can't make it. You know, the more police we get, the more crime we have. Look at Chicago. Look at New York. More police than any other cities in the country. More crime. All right, I'm done ranting about this. I said I'd cover it next hour. I'm already getting it. Now they say 6 minutes. I wonder what source that's from, though, because of the net. 6 minutes to live or die. The price of just a few seconds lost, people die. That's USA Today. Most of the numbers I've seen are over 10 minutes. But okay, 6 minutes. 6 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. You've got seconds. Everybody needs to buy guns. You need to take shooting lessons. You need to get an instant access pistol safe. You just go, the drawer pops open. If you have children in the house, you want the gun safe. If you don't have children, have it in a drawer. And I sleep so good at night when I get death threats and people saying they're going to come to my house and do things. You come to my house, you're dead. I'm red-blooded. I'm not a slave. I'm not a coward. I'm going to defend myself. But it's not even being brave. It's self-preservation. I mean, you can corner a raccoon. And if you try to go and grab it, it's going to bite you. It's going to attack you. It's vicious. You try to corner a dog. You try to corner a rat. You try to corner a rabbit, it will bite you. Humans are losing their humanity. We're told to be a bunch of cowardly jellyfish, to lay down to anything and everything and don't get involved and sit on your butt and watch TV. But meanwhile, the specialists in government, they're taught to be more vicious and pain compliance and torture and to attack the citizens, and that it's virtuous. So they get more militarized, they get more out of control, they get more hateful. They're taught we're basically the enemy, and then we're taught not even to defend ourselves. Stan, Darnie, Leif, Fred, and Leo, I'm going directly to your calls in the next segment on any issue you wish to discuss, healthcare, you name it.